Let's take a look at another example, this one containing a fraction. Evaluate the following if r at x equals x cubed minus 1 over 7 plus x and simplify as appropriate. Again, I'm going to do a number of substitutions. So to do r at 2, that would give me 2 cubed minus 1 over 7 plus 2. And if I did the math here, 2 cubed is 8, 8 minus 1 is 7, 7 plus 2 is 9. Letter B, r at h. Again, I just substitute in the h for each of the variables. So that would give me h cubed minus 1 over 7 plus h. Now I might be able to do some factoring in the numerator, but it's not going to simplify the answer at all, so I'm just going to leave this right now. r at h minus 2. Again, I want to substitute the entire quantity h minus 2 in for the variable. So notice when I look at the fraction, I start with x cubed. So instead of x cubed, I do h minus 2 all cubed minus 1 over 7 plus, and instead of x, I use h minus 2. Which that I could initially simplify into h minus 2 cubed minus 1 over h plus 5. Now if I do need to multiply out h minus 2 cubed, and again we don't need to in this problem, but I'm going to demonstrate it anyway, we'd have h minus 2 written out 3 times. And typically what we do is we multiply the first two together, and so I would multiply those, and if I multiplied those together I should get h squared minus 4h plus 4 multiplied by h minus 2. So I have a trinomial now multiplied by a binomial. And the way I now multiply this out is I take h, multiply it by everything, and minus 2 multiplied by everything. And if I did that, that would give me h cubed minus 4h squared plus 4h. So that's the h multiplied by everybody. And now the minus 2 would give me minus 2h squared plus 8h, because I'd have two negatives here, minus 8. So that's the cubing. Then I would subtract 1, and in the denominator I would have h plus 5. Which I then could neaten up. It's not going to get terribly neat, but if I did neaten it up, that would give me h cubed, and then I'd have minus 6h squared, and then I'd have plus 12h, and then I would just have the numbers, which would give me minus 9 over h plus 5. Again, not a terribly simple looking answer. D first. r of h minus 2. So this says do r of h and subtract 2. If we go back up to the top, you'll notice we just did r of h. So that's h cubed minus 1 over 7 plus h. And then we would just subtract 2. So that's all that says. Now if I wanted to, again, I could rewrite this. And I could rewrite this by making a common denominator and combining this into one fraction. If I did that, my common denominator would be 7 plus h. And so if I put a 7 plus h in the denominator here, I would need to do the same thing to the numerator. And now I could just simplify. Common denominator, 7 plus h. In the numerator, I'd have h cubed minus 1. And then when I distribute the negative, because I would have to do that along with the 2, that would give me negative 14 minus 2h. And my final answer would be h cubed minus 2h minus 15 over 7 plus h, which would not simplify anymore. Now let's take a look at letter E. I want r at h minus r at 2. Well, I did r at h before, and we've just written that down. That's h cubed minus 1 over 7 plus h minus r at 2. And again, you may remember we did r at 2 way back at the beginning. That was 7/9. So this is going to be minus 7/9. Again, if I wanted to, I could come up with a common denominator and combine these together. If I did that, my common denominator would be the product of these two. So my common denominator would be 9 multiplied by 7 plus h. So in the first fraction, I would need the 9 in the denominator, and then what I do to the denominator, I must do to the numerator. And in the second fraction, I would need 7 plus h, and what I do to the denominator, I would need to do to the numerator. So if I neaten this up a little bit, that would give me 9h cubed minus 9, and I'm going to keep the subtraction. That would give me 49 plus 7h. And now if I subtract, and I'm careful with my signs, I have 9h cubed minus 9 minus 49 minus 7h all over the common denominator. And if I wanted to, I could write that as 9h cubed minus 7h minus 58 over 9 times 7 plus h. You might ask why I don't multiply out the denominator. I could, but in the things that we're going to be seeing in pre-calculus, and if you go on to calculus, we will only need to keep the denominator in its factored form. We actually won't have to multiply it out. So I'm going to not multiply it out, do a little bit less work if I can.